piece we're trying to reinforce, we like to cut it so that the so we go like that. There's an awful lot of overlap and there's a lot of cutting when you do it this way. And I'm just going to do like one corner to show it, but notice how I'm going around the corner now. Look, it can fold easy that way and I can fold easy that way, right? It's not like that where you got one way is going the easy fold way and one the other way. This way, if you cut it across the strips, you can lay it all in. So I'd put the next piece in here like that. And I'd bring it fairly close to the corner. And you can have it overlay. There's a lot of ways you can do it. You can have this one come all the way over and bring this one in, or whatever. And this is, let me just make it a little bit so I can show you a junction. It takes you a little while to become accomplished with this, Debbie. It fries Debbie's brain to try to figure this out sometimes. Here's a junction. And let's have this one go the other way. So we'll go like this. We'll bring this one in this way, just so we can see it both ways. I'm sure you guys don't know what the figure is.
No, I'm like, yeah.
So would you just leave that as a factory edge? The overlap on the reinforcement?
Yeah,
Okay.
I try to at all possible because I don't want the bulk of having to fold that over twice.
Okay.
Okay, so let me start stapling some of this stuff.
So there's no straight edges. It's not measured up anywhere. You're just.
So kind of, as I work along, you'll see the method to my madness. It's somewhat, I mean, I worked this out. It took me a little while because I didn't like doing that. It always bothered me for some reason. So I'm just getting some staples down just to hold this in right now. Now over here, I want a long piece that'll fit. No, I don't have a piece that's really no, we'll just that's okay. We'll get the basic idea. And this will be like this. What the fuck is Hood doing?
I had you up until that piece.
This is a lot more work.
You did?
Well,
think
you have
so.
to be able
I
to
don't know.
charge for
See how
it,
it comes
okay?
out. But I
You
thought
have to
I
be
did.
able to charge for it. So, I'm just gonna shorten it by about that much. So now we got all these edges. Now I'm just gonna trim this up. It'll become a little clearer in the middle. Right now you're just looking at a lot of squares. It's important the way you lay the squares, and when you see the result, you'll sort of understand. If you practice it for a little while, you will get good at it. This is the way I do all of Chris's covers and all of, all of his big covers and stuff that he for his boats and.
So these were just scraps that you had from the job?
Well, sometimes they can be scraps, but usually they're taken off a fresh roll and just cut across. I mean, what happens a lot of times is you got this big, unusually shaped cover like an angle back, and they cut it. And when they cut the blank out, they have all this extra
Yeah.
fabric that sometimes you can just slide up and use that for reinforcement. And that's one way to do it. You end up with that kind of stuff, okay? But this is a more elegant way to do it that shows that you put a lot of thought into it. When people see it, they really, really like it. So now I've got this, and I'm going to flip it over, and you'll see a hodgepodge of squares, right? Get some pencils. And we'll do a 4-inch reinforcement. Okay, so this one goes like this. I'm approximating about 1 inch above the line. I always like a 1 inch fold under. It makes a crisper edge. If you do a 1/2 inch, it's not enough. Okay.
You're on the line.
You're doing 1 inch, you said above it?
Yeah. I could conceivably make a mistake, yes. Yes, it does happen.
I usually do that. What are you doing?
It is somewhat of a jigsaw puzzle, I will admit. But the result speaks for itself. Okay, now we've got the basic layout of what's going to be. This one goes over this way, this one comes in here. Just erase this line. We're gonna fold one way. I would usually have them try to be a little bit of uniformity. I'm doing it opposite directions just to show you can do it both ways. All right, so this is going to be a connection. This is going to be a seam because a lot of times you can't go long enough. We try to use the salvage edge, which when you're cutting across the strips so you can fold on the left, you're going to have a salvage edge. at one end or the other. So you play that, so you try to, wherever you have a junction, you try to have a selvage edge. If for some reason you got it all laid up, you can just take a heat gun and heat that, but generally I like to have it a selvage edge. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick my ruler under here, because I want to 1 inch, like this, okay? And I'm gonna draw a mark. And this is just for a junction. There's a lot of stapling and restapling involved in this system. So now we got a junction with a 1 inch underlap, right? Now we get down to here. And I slide my ruler into 1 inch where the fold is. I mean, the 1 inch, doesn't have to be extremely accurate. It just wants to be under by about an inch. Sometimes I even eyeball it. Now we got that. Now I'm over to here. Take that off. I slide it under because I want to be 1 inch behind this line. Okay, so you want to be 1 inch under. Okay, so I'm going to bring that up to about that fold. This is because I want to cut off all this extra material. I mean, right now I just got a lot of raw overlaps, and I'm just working it down to, the size that it has to be. Now, yes, this does take longer. Yes, you should charge more money for something done like this. This is this is the only way I will do it. So if they don't want to pay the money, then go somewhere else. So I'm pretty close to the folding stage now, and you'll notice how easily this is going to go. See, so I got the 1 inch that way, I got the 1 inch here, I got the 1 inch beyond here, right? So now I can start the folding thing. So I'll start let me get a long on. Yeah, probably should throw some staples in here. And you'll notice how nice and easy and crisp that will fold, because you're doing it along. See how that is? Folds nice and flat now. I don't hear any oohs and ahs. Hear any inconceivables?
That's your cue, Jeff.
So this is like when you're framing a window, so there'd be glass in the middle of that, right? There'd be glass in the middle of that.
No, this is just
Like a
fabric reinforcement.
So when would you use something like this?
like at the
Like I'm doing a mooring cover, doing an angle back that's just cloth with
And
reinforcement.
you're adding
When you're going-
reinforcements because you're putting snaps in? Is that why you're adding reinforcements?
Well, if I had a snap in a location, I would slide a piece between it
Yeah.
and staple it and cut it off like we always do.
So
Okay,
what
I'm
makes
not-
you do this then? What's the
Well,
reinforcement for?
this is just a reinforcing technique for a cover, like you're doing an angle back, which is all.
It's like an
pretty much
edge
a
that's
big
that
slab
doesn't
of
have
fabric that
a,
needs to be reinforced.
a zipper or
And
the
then
large
bound.
binder on it.
What's that?
It's the side that wouldn't have a zipper or a
Right.
large binder on
Well, you're
it,
not
like the
going
back
to
of
you're
a.
not going to use the large binder is not the beginning and the end of everything. It's used in certain places, and it's not used. you're not gonna use the big binder in this because it's not an enclosure, it's more of a cover.
So like on that mooring cover, you're saying
That
you
we're
could
gonna
use
make out the
reinforcement?
back.
Where would you use the reinforcement? Like where would the reinforcement? I guess
All
I'm
the
not
way around
understanding
the
what-
edges, wherever a snap's gonna go.
So where a snap's gonna be, that's when you'd have a reinforcement. Okay, but are you
Well, any
also-
edge is gonna have to be reinforced whether there's a snap in it or not, or it's just gonna tear.
Every edge is gonna have something in it to hold it to the boat, right?
Right.
Every edge.
Okay.
Yeah. So what happens is when this comes up over a boat, right, there's usually fiberglass or wood or something that it needs to lean up against, right? So you wanna reinforce it so
So
it
that's where
doesn't.
you would do something like this.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
like the big boom tents that we make, right? There's zip on a sail cover and the boom tents come down. And we,
Leaning against something.
well,
or-
and there's, that one actually, it isn't.
Well,
rubbing
like
against
on the
it, but-
panels we made, the bottom is already reinforced because of the method we
It's
used
doubled.
to double it on the glass.
Right.
So if you don't have glass, this is how you would
Okay,
double.
that's, I just what I was trying to
Instead of
figure
having
out.
2 layers would be too heavy,
Right.
right? And what people do, like on pontoon boats, they're really cheap boats, they'll take webbing and they'll take this and they'll put webbing all the way around it.
I've
They'll
seen
put
that,
snaps
okay.
in the webbing and then the webbing shrinks and this umbrella
So instead
doesn't.
of that, you'll do this type of method.
We will never do the webbing, it's horrible. It's
That
just
is,
cheap.
that is cheap and it's non-professional in my opinion.
But if you're gonna get $800 for a mooring cover,
You gotta do
yeah,
it
you
that
gotta
way.
do it. You gotta do it, so. I can show you the web, I mean, it's just webbing, it's just, you know.
Now
In
you
fact, I was
could-
talking to Tammy last night about mooring covers. And she
You're on
was,
film.
huh?
You're
Carol,
being
go ahead.
recorded.